And he calls over to us, look down here, and points out with a huge smile on his face. And he's got a fat
classified,
just chilling, pretty demented that someone would do that.
That is demented. Welcome to the Spencer Whiteout podcast. Rated R.
You have some criminal charges with you, bro. Real quick. Guess like we're avoiding the shark. Call it leather fetish.
Yo, today turbo neck guy.
I'll give you a kiss. You give me your number.
That checked out a ton, dude. Tell me you felt.
We're Americans. We're the ones that are descendants from the 1776 musket-bearing motherfuckers.
Welcome back to the Spencer Whiteout podcast. This is episode number 24. In this conversation, my cousin Aaron Bartling and I tell stories of the Wall of Death, a sewer demon, and much more. Let's dive in. Let's talk about an injury, Warped Tour, Bring Me the Horizon, Wall of Death.
Yep.
What happened?
Yeah, my sister, she was like, hey, I want to go to the front. And I was like, are you sure? Like, it gets pretty crazy up there. And she's like, yeah, I really want to go. So we start making our way through. And you know how it is, like when a packed show, you know, it's like weaving through people, you know, you're like kind of pushing your way through. We're getting closer and closer to the front. And so all of a sudden they say, okay, we're going to do the Wall of Death. And I'm thinking like, oh my gosh, like there's no escaping it. You just got to go with it at that point.
So either you stay in the middle and get smashed.
Yep.
Or you pick a side.
Yeah.
It's kind of how it is in politics these days.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
No, but But tell people what a Wall of Death is.
Okay, so the lead singer will split the crowd in two, and then they'll basically hype the crowd up, and basically usually it's leading into some type of really heavy part of the song, like a breakdown,
right before the breakdown,
some crazy scream or whatever. So they start playing Pray for Plagues, which is like one of their super, super heavy songs, right? And so she has no idea. She doesn't know like what Wall of Death is or circle pits or anything like that. And in my head, I'm thinking like, oh my gosh.
We're about to die.
It's about to go down. So the song just kicks off, boom, you know, and then like everyone just starts running at each other. And just slamming into each other. And I look over at my sister and she gets tossed up in the air, literally feet into the air.
Limbs flying.
And then I didn't see where she landed. You know, it was just, I just saw her, saw her like corpse basically just fly into the air and then just like land somewhere. And then like I see that there's commotion or like something was going on. And so I trying to like push my way through the crowd, you know, and get up there. And I see that she's on the ground and this guy was like trying to pick her up and like help her. And like, I can tell like something's wrong, dude. You know, she was in pain or she got hurt or something. She's like limping, you know, when she gets up. And thankfully, it was really cool. Everyone like kind of knew that she was hurt, so they kind of like started splitting. This guy like helped basically.
And then you realize they're just splitting for another Wall of Death. And you're like,
no, not another Wall of Death. Stop. Yeah, so these guys like helped like pick her up, and then like we start going out of the crowd.
So she ended up what? Breaking her ankle or something?
Yeah, so I think she did break it.
Yeah.
I remember she got like a cast and stuff, but that was pretty insane. That was like, I think that was the first and last time she ever came to a show with me. But
that's insane, dude. Yeah. Once you go to a Bring Me the Horizon show, you're really never the same.
Yeah. Seriously.
Let's talk about another concert story. This one's called Aaron Swap. This one's brutal. Rips your heart into, basically.
Baby, we're done.
Yeah. So at the time, I had been just off and on like dating with different girls. And there's this girl named Christine, and we had been dating for not very long. I think we only dated for like a few months. But she hit me up and she's like, hey, Aaron from the Almost is going to be playing at this really small venue. Would you want to go? And I was like, oh, yeah. Like, you know, I'm totally down.
Under Oath.
Yeah, and also from Under Oath. Yeah.
Right.
And so I was like, oh, yeah, that sounds super cool. It was going to be like a more intimate show, you know, like. And then I found out it was not only like a show, but you could also sell merch there. And at the time I had my own like t-shirt line that I had done. And so I thought like, oh, cool. I can bring my merch. I could set up a little booth thing and maybe like sell some shirts or whatever. So anyways, you know, we go to the show, I find a spot, and it happened to be right by Aaron's booth too.
There's two Aarons here.
So me and
Aaron
the vocalist. And so he's like, oh, hey, how's it going, guys? And like, since it was such a small, intimate show, it was like you could talk to him, you know, because he's just right there. So I'm setting up all my shirts. I'm having small talk with Aaron G. And he's
Aaron G.
And so the girl I'm with, I noticed that she's not really paying attention to me. You know, like she's all like fawning over Aaron, like very like googly eye, like just totally like paying attention to him.
Did you know you were cute?
I'm starting to feel like a little bothered, you know, like a little
hot and bothered.
Yeah, a little like insecure. I'm kind of like, man, why is she like not really paying attention to me? She's not like talking to me. And this is where like things kind of get interesting. The attention was like really going to him, like even had her back turned to me like the whole time, just talking to him. And I'm just like the sad, lonely, like puppy off in the corner. But anyway, so he does the show. And then once the show is done, so he goes back to the booth. He literally is standing there and I'm right next to him. And he literally is looking at Christine. They're talking and he goes,
why are you even with this loser?
Shots fired.
and
He
like,
said that?
Yeah, he literally said that. I was so just like shocked and kind of taken back. I just kind of like laughed, you know, like I didn't really know what to say. But and like what was sad was I remember him at the show showing me a picture of his wife and his kids. But yet here he is like literally trying to make a move on Christine and she was all for it. Like she would have been like one of those like groupies or whatever, you know, like she probably would have just been like if he said, hey, come on tour with me, she probably would have done it like right there. So we left the show and like obviously I was just like heartbroken, you know, because I was thinking like, man, like she basically just totally like betrayed me.
Betrayal.
Because she didn't defend me at all. She wasn't like,
She just denied you 3 times.
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
the rooster crowed and all that.
Yeah, exactly. So like that night I ended up calling her. I told her like, hey, this is done. You know, like, and she was like, yeah, I agree. I think we should just call it quits. And then I was like, okay, cool. And then so it was just consensual. We split right there and then that was it. So, but
Dang, man.
Yeah, pretty brutal.
That's rough. Okay, should we get into the most twisted story of the podcast?
Yes, let's do it.
Warning. Entering graphic territory in 3, 2, 1.
I think I was about 10 years old and our neighbors were renting out their house. So they had different people staying with them. So there was these teenage boys that were there. One of them, I think, was like maybe like 16. The other one was like 18. And just to give you a little like backstory into these kids were like really like rough around the edges. You know, like they were like
Sid from Toy Story.
Yeah, exactly.
Strapping their toys to rockets and blowing stuff up.
Yep. You know, here I am, this like young Christian, like homeschool kid, you know, that was like not exposed to like anything bad. So there was this day that I'm outside and I'm just playing with my buddy and the 18-year-old kid, he's standing in the doorway of the house. And I'm like talking to my buddy, like, you know, we're just like laughing about something. I look over because he goes, hey, and he calls over to us. And so we look over and he says, look down here, and points down with a huge smile on his face, points down, and he's got a fat boner just chilling. And I'm literally like, I turn him and I'm just like, I'm like, what? You know, like I was so shocked. I was so shocked and taken back because I was like, I didn't know what to think. I was like, you know, I was just like,
You
what
didn't
the
know
heck?
what you were
like,
looking at.
I'm literally like a 10-year-old kid, you know, like, and here's this like 18-year-old guy and just showing his freaking wang, just fully exposed wang and like fully erect. And I'm just like, and like, yeah, so he just points at it. And I don't really remember what I did. I think I just just kind of like looked away because I didn't even really know what like boners were or anything, you know? Like, so it was pretty scarring. I'm not gonna lie, it was pretty scarring. It was pretty pretty demented that someone would do that.
That is
you know,
demented. Are you and your friend like best friends to this day, like trauma bonding, basically?
Dude, what's funny is like he ended up moving away, and
He moved away because of that incident.
And I just I haven't talked to him since. So
speaking of public nudity, one time we were driving home on my road and this kid just like stops in the middle of our road. My dad's driving and we're like pulling up to a stop and we're like, hey, move, you know? And the kid's just like,
what, moon?
He turns around and just pulls down his pants and moons us. And my dad goes, that's illegal. Like as if
I can
because
so-
it's illegal.
Yeah.
Like, oh, whoops, I
I'm
didn't
gonna
realize
stop.
that was illegal. Sorry.
That's like such something your dad would say.
Yes,
That's
it is.
funny.
Very law-abiding, good Christian man.
Yep.
Love you, Dad.
That's hilarious.
So let's talk about the last story of the podcast. This is
Okay.
called
Sewer demons.
/ ghost hunting.
Yes. So to give it a little backsight, me and my friends were super into ghost hunting, like super into it, right? We would literally go on Google and you can look up different spots that have ghosts, good ghost hunting spots or whatever. So we would go to like different parks that were known to be like haunted or whatever. Like we would do that for fun all the time, right?
High school, maybe?
Yeah, this was in high school.
High school,
yeah,
yeah.
this was in high school. So yeah, there was this spot that was over by my buddy's house. It was kind of like, tucked back in this little like deserty kind of area. We would go in there sometimes and we just kind of like look around. Like there's like graffiti on the walls, and we didn't really like think anything of it. And then we're like, okay, hey, let's go in here, but like let's go further into the tunnel and like really see, like what's way back in this tunnel, like because we had only gone in like maybe a little bit, but not like we didn't go way back in there. So we go in, dude. And when we would do this, it would be late at night. It's like 1 o'clock in the morning or whatever. And to get into this tunnel, there's this big metal door that you have to lift up because it's like a sewage drain. So you go in, and we have like our flashlights, and
This is very Stranger Things-esque.
yeah, oh yeah. So we're walking up, and 50 or 100 yards in front of us, there's a black face that peeks around the corner. And there's no eyes or anything, bro. Like, so, dude, just imagine. So, like, honestly, dude, if you were into like ghost hunting, right? Or you were into like that kind of stuff, can you imagine going into a tunnel like that, pitch black, middle of the night with just your buddies? There's like 5 of us, and you see a black face. Like, would you freak out? Like,
Yes, of course. Yeah.
Like you're just like, what the heck is that?
No
right?
eyes.
Like, no eyes. It was just a black thing that peered around the corner. And so, like, dude, obviously, like, your heart is going to be like exploding out of your chest, And so we saw that, and we just turned around and just booked it out of there. Like, just hightailed, ran, like we're running, we're screaming, running as fast as we can. Like, if it was like a homeless person or something, like you would have thought like, hey, they'd probably just come out, kind of like.
They probably have eyes.
Yeah, they would have eyes, and they'd probably be like, oh, like who's over there, or like talk. But this thing that popped out, it didn't say anything. It was just a black face that moved out. And what was scary about it was when we had the flashlights up, it moved its face around the corner and it came back, but then it did it a couple more times. So anyway, so we just book it out, right? We're terrified. We open up the metal thing, and like this thing is like heavy, but I think like just because of like how much adrenaline we had, we just like pushed that thing open like it was like nothing, like a piece of paper. Yeah. And then like, we run back to my buddy's house. Of course, all of us are just like, dude, did you see that? And we're all like, yeah, I saw it. Like, that was insane. Dude, what the heck was that? Like, what do you think that was? And, like we're looking up on Google, like, is that a spot that like a hot spot where like, maybe there's like,
demonic activity.
Yeah. Paranormal activity or whatever. So anyway, so obviously after talking about it, we all were like, hey, I don't think we'll ever go back in there, because it would like scare the crap out of us, and I was like, I don't want to like go back in. So this part of the story is what makes the story just iconic.
Golden.
It just
historical.
Is that what ended up happening was I later found out a year or two later, not like that night or like a couple hours later or whatever, I found out that my buddies had been scheming this whole time and had this grandiose, epic plan that they were going to scare me, and they were going to have one of the other buddies was going to go way up in there and put like a black mask on, and they were going to like peer out, act like they were like a ghost or a demon or something, just like scare the crap out of us.
They succeeded.
Yeah, they totally succeeded. And then I don't remember how it came out, but I think we were having a conversation about ghosts, and they were like, hey, Aaron, do you know yet? And I'm like, what do you mean? I'm like, what are you talking about? And they're like, you still don't know? And I'm like, no, what? And they're like, so you remember that night that we went up ghost hunting? And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, that was one of us. And I'm like, you're joking, right? And they're like, we literally set up this grand scheme, this grand plan to scare you. And I'm just like,
wow, that's good. I mean, like, prank-wise.
So the worst part about the story is that night I ended up going home and I posted this huge paragraph on Facebook about that, like, like, guys, tonight I came face to face with like paranormal activity. I was like, I saw a demon tonight or something in these sewers. Told this whole long story about like how it, like, guys, ghosts are real, like how it's like ghosts are real.
Spiritual warfare.
Yeah, spiritual warfare, like demons are real, that I saw a demon, all this stuff. It was like this long paragraph, about like my crazy, traumatizing story. And like, of course, you have like Facebook memories, seeing that like years later, which was just like hilarious to see that, like finding out, oh yeah, like all of that was bogus, and my friend Tanner was the one that was, so
yeah,
was,
I bet Grandma Pat was probably commenting on there like, praying for you.
Yeah. So saying like the spiritual warfare is real right now.
We're in the last days.
Thank you all so much for listening. If you didn't know, Aaron is actually a well-established comic book artist. His resume includes work for DC Comics, Ninja Turtles, Joker, Ghost Rider, and the list goes on. If you'd like to check out his work, I've got his links in the description. As always, stay tuned, stay hyped. That's a wrap.
Inserting exclusive audio recording from the vault.
I was at Walmart grocery shopping by myself, and there was this guy who was also by himself shopping. He was like looking at the canned vegetables and stuff, and then his cart was like 5 or 6 feet away from him, and he was literally like tossing the cans into his cart, and so with every toss it was like bang, bang, and I'm like, what's this guy doing? Like, it's really disruptive. And so he kept doing that, and then out of the corner of my eye I see him pick up this bag of rice, and I'm like, oh no, what is he gonna do with this? And then he literally like does this giant backswing and sledgehammers the rice bag onto the cart.
Oh my!
The bag explodes and rice like goes everywhere. And then he like he's staring at it like,
what does he expect?
He's like staring at it frozen. He's like, what did I do? And I was like eyes wide open.
You're in the same aisle as him, seeing all this.
Yeah, and I was like, yeah, what did he think was gonna happen?
Yeah, you slam a bag of rice first, there's probably a hole already in it.
Yeah, and then he like gathers up the bag and puts it back on the shelf.
And that's it.